When Shadow, Keanu Reeves, breaks free from his imprisonment, he seeks revenge towards Gunn for his traumatic experience and pain inflicted towards him. The Sonic movie franchise has been received with mixed reviews. I'm referring to my own personal judgment, of course. On the one hand, I feel the movie did a fantastic job, having a unique approach to a video game franchise turned movie, where others have failed. But on the other hand, various aspects to its story and delivery I wasn't very fond of. Though I'm skeptical about including a combination of real world elements and other fictitious elements, video game characters and worlds in this case, the movie was enjoyable and widely liked, thanks to Paramount and Sony for succumbing to the fans and changing Sonic's design, giving us Sonic 2 and now Sonic 3, with Sonic 4 in the making. The point I'm trying to make is that despite its silliness, it being made for kids, I enjoyed Sonic 3. I personally believe it's the best one so far. Not only did I like that they toned down Sonic's wit, but the story itself was better than the other two. Though you can clearly see it's still a kids' movie, I still find myself enjoying it. Let's begin. The movie opens up inside a secret facility. Shadow is being observed, but begins waking up. Now conscious, he breaks free, defeats a group of soldiers, and flees. Back in Green Hills, Sonic accepts a racing challenge from Tails, Colleen O'Shaughnessy. Apologies if I butchered that. And Knuckles, Idris Elba. But it was only a ruse in order to surprise Sonic with a birthday party. Crazy to think it's only been a year since the events of both movies. Sonic takes a trip down memory lane by visiting his old bunker or home. In this scene, the theme of the movie is given: to not allow pain and anger to corrupt your heart and to make good choices, even when it's hard. While the theme is blatantly thrown out there, and later on also thrown at your face, come the epiphany moment and the change of heart scene, it was done very well. Because this is a third movie, Sonic's setup was reduced in order to get the ball rolling. Which isn't much of an issue in this case, because it still managed to set up the theme and execute it effectively. Shadow, now in Tokyo, gets angry when gun soldiers arrive at the scene. Trying to apprehend them, Director Rockwell, Christine Ritter, requests Team Sonic's assistance in the matter. The team head to Tokyo and are shocked when their opponent is a hedgehog that looks like Sonic. So far, so good. The CGI and composition are really well done, and this action sequence was actually well executed. It sparked my curiosity and piqued my interest. Also made me like Shadow more. We see Team Sonic get beat, demonstrating Shadow's tenacity, persistence, rage, and character, as well as providing stakes as we clearly see Shadow overcome his opponents. I do also like the chase scene and Shadow's comment on Sonic because it does eloquently sum up my personal gripe towards Sonic and how he was depicted in these movies.
The more you talk, the harder I want to hit you.
Commander Walters, Tom Butler, arrives at Chao Garden and provides exposition in Shadow's backstory. Arriving from a meteor, Shadow is the ultimate life form that has the power of chaos energy. But when an accident occurred, Shadow is placed into stasis indefinitely by Commander Walters. Though I did like the scene, the whole secrecy of the team's leader wasn't much of a mystery for a later review, thanks to all the marketing and trailers. The scene ends when egg drones interfere, injuring, or killing? I'm not so sure. It wasn't specified in the movie. Though I can only assume he is alive, considering Rockwell's reaction when Tom, James Marsden, disguised himself as Walter in gun headquarters in a later scene. Before we know this answer, Walters hands Sonic a key for the most powerful weapon Gunn has ever built. Wanting answers, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles follow this mysterious rider onto the dock. He is revealed to be the goat milk, Agent Stone, Lee Majub, apologies if I butchered that, who invites them into the crab, a small refuge for Dr. Robotnik, Jim Carrey. Being forced to work together, they locate the possible location of the culprit behind the egg napper. Returning to the scene of the crime, Shadow recollects his memory of Maria, Alila Brown. While this flashback montage is great, I still felt it could have done better. This montage does demonstrate the relationship between Maria and Shadow pretty well, but not the constraints these scientists have on Shadow, that was heavily needed for Shadow's character. Why? Well, after the montage, I kept asking, why didn't Shadow just leave? Perhaps it was because of Maria. And while that's a very good reason, it just would have been nice to show that. I would have liked to either see the scientist tell Shadow that if he leaves, he will never see Maria again, or for Maria to tell him she can't leave that place. Something to ground Shadow there because of Maria. Or the scientist forcefully trying to study Shadow and his constant bickering and inability to either control his power or using his power strikes fear onto these scientists, making Shadow feel more like a freak, unwanted, where only Maria likes him, strengthening that bond between them. Not only would this help emphasize his actions, but it would also have a higher impact on his character arc as well, especially come this scene when Gerald, also Jim Carrey, said, "And you were once so useful to me," while reaching for his forearm. I legit thought he either had a kill switch or some kind of mechanism that's linked to Shadow in a way that would make him docile or get hurt, enforcing the fact that he couldn't escape the facility and how cruel and manipulative Gerald actually was. To no surprise, Gerald reveals himself to be the one behind the egg drones. Even though Gerald's character was a little bit wonky and silly, I enjoyed it because of all the comedic elements it brought to the movie. Best part was, it did not feel forced and just made the movie better. It also helps that Jim Carrey plays both Gerald and Ivo Robotnik.
We're two characters in a movie being played by the same actor.
And I will have to add props to the VFX team. They did a fantastic job. Now trapped, we get more exposition as the Robotnik family form a team. Their plan is to use the Eclipse cannon from Gerald's invention, but they need the other keycard that's located in gun headquarters. So they go to London. Trying to stop them, Team Sonic returns to Green Hill and recruits Tom and Maddie, Tika Sumter, for a heist. Both parties infiltrate gun headquarters, and while the dancing scene can be seen as bizarre or odd, it was pretty humorous to say the least. Entering the vault, there was a problem when Knuckles broke glass in case of emergency, breaking the room's gravitational mechanism and potentially hurting people in the process. Now, this scene did confuse me a little bit for 3 reasons. 1. If Rockwell knew that they were coming, hence her saying that they fell for her trap, why didn't she just put gun soldiers inside the vault instead? So that when both doctors enter the room, they would be surrounded. I guess they also needed Team Sonic there to apprehend both of them. And that does make sense. Unfortunately, the movie has them both arrive at the same place at the same time. So this could have worked out.
Our destiny awaits.
Stop right there, Robo-Scum!
Thank you for taking the bait and falling right into my trap.
2. How was Knuckles able to break this barrier of sorts if we saw that it could incinerate you?
Right when I get to the... Ah! What just happened?
Congratulations, you just got incinerated by their energy shield.
Break glass in case of emergency!
3. The whole point of the scene is the retrieval of the second key. But my only question was on Rockwell's stance in the matter. Does she want to protect the key from both parties? Does she want to use the key? Or does she just want to destroy the key? My best guess is that she wants to guard the key from both parties. But going back to point 1, if she wants to guard the key and knew that they were coming for the key, why didn't she just relocate it, set up the trap, and get the other key? But I'm getting ahead of myself. I know it's a little detail that I wished it could have been better. When the plan does fumble, Shadow enters the building and retrieves the card by knocking Tom out, thinking he was Commander Walters. I do like this scene because it adds on to Shadow's character. It's a small detail that adds a lot of depth because this short moment could have been either a turning point or the boiling point in this case. Depending on the scene's location, it can be used to do one or more of the following. 1. Demonstrates the antagonist crossing that line of no return. 2. A small moment when the antagonist can be redeemed. Or 3. Adds epiphany and sympathy for our antagonist, making him or her a more 3-dimensional character. The only thing about it was the fact that I think Sonic should have interfered before Shadow had the chance to come to his senses instead of Shadow accepting this path, being a necessary means to an end. Because that way, it not only would show Sonic making a mistake due to frustration, but shows Shadow's troubled mindset, one that could have been resolved at this very moment had Sonic not interfered.
Commander Walter. No, no, no. What?
Wake up, wake up, wake up!
Maria. What did you do? What I had to.
In short, Shadow is questioning whether or not his methods are actually correct, but because he is interrupted prematurely, he doesn't fully accept this mindset until much later, when he has the time to accept that mindset, when Sonic is at his lowest. Gerald impresses Ivo on his weapon and new suits, where Sonic furiously demands Knuckles to hand over the Master Emerald, disregarding their sacred oath. Knuckles eventually gives in and tells Sonic of the Emerald's location. Now supercharged, he fights Shadow, and in his victory, he remembers what Tom told him, making the theme come full circle. Shadow sees and recollects his mistakes, and now helps Sonic do what is right. Ivo has a similar epiphany and defeats Gerald in the most comical way. But in his attempt to right a wrong, he sacrifices himself, or so it seems, in order to save Earth. If you take away the kids aspect of the movie and whatnot, you do get a decent story with a pretty good theme. The only unfortunate thing is that I wished for various scenes to have gotten more in depth, such as the scientist's heavy grasp towards Shadow, Gerald's manipulation, Shadow's character, and the flashback with Maria. I touched base on 3 of these, so I'll quickly discuss the 4th. As bad as it sounds, I would have liked for Maria to have actually gotten shot and not be the victim of an accident. Though it shows Walters wasn't a bad person, I feel you can achieve both of these instances even with Maria being shot. We also, correct me if I'm wrong, don't understand what led to Gunn wanting to capture Shadow, that led to Maria's death. This is a huge motivating factor to Gerald's, Shadow's, and perhaps Walter's actions and character. For example, what if Shadow believes it was his fault that led to Maria's death? So he wants to right a wrong. Unfortunately, he does it in the wrong way. Another way, keeping his hatred with Gunn, he feels it was Gunn's fault. But Gerald's manipulation tricks him into the wrong facts. So, yes, Gunn was the one who did it. It wasn't how Gerald explained it. Perhaps Sonic doesn't have a lot of memory in that scene because of the explosion, or if he just remembered wrong because of the stasis. The story could have also been Gerald's fault, where Shadow doesn't know this, and so he was led to believe it was Gunn, when in actuality it was Gerald's actions that caused Gunn to react, wanting Shadow's capture, leading to Maria's death. You see where I'm getting at? It would also explain Gerald's hatred for humans and when he said humans are a failed experiment. He said this because of what had happened during his time studying Shadow. If we had gotten a scene showing how even then some of his orders were denied or equivalent, leading to the accident, it would help emphasize what I had mentioned before, but also his choice to wipe out humanity, including himself.
Kids, we have to go now. They want to take Shadow away from us, Maria.
Also, as much as I hate to say it, I would like if Robotnik doesn't return for Sonic 4. Don't get me wrong, I love Jim Carrey, but I feel the writer should give a new villain a turn. At least for now. Yes, I am 100% sure he is alive. I believe he puts himself inside a shield or force field before he goes on this live stream and becomes a martyr. Overall, Sonic 3 was an enjoyable watch all around. Not only did I enjoy it more because Sonic's wit was turned down a notch, but the story surrounding Shadow was pretty well executed. It could have definitely been better with more emphasis in certain scenes that would have had a deeper impact. But at the end of the day, this movie still remains a children's movie, and for that, it excelled profoundly. Only thing left to do is wonder what the fourth movie will be about.
I'm not there to protect you. I already lost you once.
Unsubscribed, blocked, and reported.
But anyways, those are just my thoughts. Did you enjoy the movie? Let me know what you thought about it down below, and I'll see you in the next review. Until then, God bless.